In the shadowy corners of the internet, where cryptographers whisper in code and financial revolutionaries plot the downfall of traditional banking, one name echoes through the digital halls of history, like a ghost that changed the world forever. October 31st, 2008. While most people were preparing for Halloween, someone using the pseudonym Satoshi Nakamoto was about to unleash something far more terrifying to the global financial system than any monster could ever be. With a simple 9-page document titled Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, this mysterious figure didn't just propose a new form of money, they engineered the complete destruction of everything we thought we knew about currency, trust, and power itself. But here's the thing that'll blow your mind. After creating what would become a $2 trillion market, after fundamentally reshaping the entire global economy, after becoming potentially one of the richest people on the planet, Satoshi Nakamoto simply vanished into thin air. We're talking about someone who controls over 1 million bitcoins. That's more than $134 billion sitting untouched in digital wallets scattered across the blockchain. And yet, despite having access to more wealth than entire countries possess, not a single Bitcoin has moved. It's as if the creator of the world's most valuable cryptocurrency decided that money meant we're diving absolutely nothing to them. Tonight, deep into the greatest mystery of the 21st century. Who is Satoshi Nakamoto? Is it a single genius working alone in a basement somewhere? Shadowy group Shah of cryptographers with a shared vision? Or something else entirely? By the end of this investigation, you'll understand why this question isn't just about satisfying curiosity. The identity of Bitcoin's creator could literally crash global markets, endanger lives, and fundamentally alter the balance of financial power across the planet. But first, let me paint you a picture of just how perfectly orchestrated Bitcoin's emergence really was. This wasn't some random weekend project that accidentally changed the world. Every single detail was planned with surgical precision by someone who understood not just the technical challenges of creating digital money, but the psychological and economic forces that would need to align for it to succeed. The timing alone should make you suspicious. Satoshi didn't just randomly decide to release Bitcoin on January 3rd, 2009. This was right in the heart of the worst financial crisis since the Great Depression. Banks were collapsing, governments were printing money like it was going out of style, and millions of people were losing their homes and life savings. Into this chaos steps a mysterious figure, offering an alternative that requires no banks, no governments, and no trust in any central authority whatsoever. Even more telling is the message Satoshi embedded in Bitcoin's very first block. Hidden in the code like a digital time capsule, they included a newspaper headline from The Times: Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks. This wasn't just a timestamp to prove when Bitcoin was created. This was a declaration of war against the entire traditional financial system. Think about the level of foresight required here. Satoshi didn't just solve the technical problems that had stumped brilliant minds for decades. They anticipated every possible attack vector, every regulatory challenge, every economic incentive that would need to be perfectly balanced to create a system that could survive and thrive without any central control. This level of preparation suggests we're dealing with either a genuine mastermind or a well-coordinated group with access to serious resources and expertise. The technical sophistication alone is staggering. Bitcoin solved what cryptographers called the double spending problem, something that had prevented digital currency from working for 20 years. Imagine trying to send the same digital dollar to two different people simultaneously. In the physical world, this is impossible because you can't hand the same physical bill to two people at once. But in the digital realm, copying information is trivial. Satoshi figured out how to create digital scarcity without requiring any trusted third party to verify transactions. They accomplished this through an elegant combination of cryptographic techniques, game theory, and economic incentives that had never been successfully merged before. The blockchain itself is a masterpiece of distributed systems design that solved problems most computer scientists didn't even realize existed. We're talking about creating a global database that thousands of strangers can update simultaneously without any coordination, while ensuring that nobody can cheat or corrupt the system. But here's where things get really interesting. Satoshi didn't just disappear randomly. They methodically transferred control of the Bitcoin project to other developers, ensuring the system could continue operating without them. In their final known communication in April 2011, they wrote to fellow developer Mike Hearn, saying they had moved on to other things. And that was it. Complete radio silence from someone who could have become the most powerful person in finance. This deliberate withdrawal reveals something profound about Satoshi's motivations. If you created something worth hundreds of billions of dollars, would you just walk away? Most people would want credit, wealth, influence, or at least recognition for fundamentally changing the world. But Satoshi seemed to understand that their continued involvement would undermine Bitcoin's core promise of decentralization. By removing themselves from the equation, they ensured that no single person could control or destroy their creation. The mystery deepens when you analyze the evidence that's been left behind. Blockchain researchers have identified what they call the Patoshi Pattern, a unique cryptographic fingerprint that reveals how Satoshi mined Bitcoin during its earliest days. This analysis shows that Satoshi controlled sophisticated mining equipment and could have easily dominated the network. But instead of hoarding all the coins for themselves, they deliberately reduced their mining power whenever other people joined the network. This altruistic behavior suggests someone who cared more about Bitcoin's success than personal profit. They were essentially subsidizing the network's security during its most vulnerable period, ensuring that early adopters could earn coins and become invested in the system's success. This isn't the behavior of a greedy entrepreneur looking to get rich quick. This is someone with a genuine vision for changing how money works at a fundamental level. The linguistic analysis of Satoshi's writings provides even more intriguing clues. Despite the Japanese-sounding name, Satoshi's English was flawless and distinctly Western in style. They used British spellings like colour and favour, suggesting either British origins or deliberate misdirection. Their writing demonstrated deep knowledge of economics, cryptography, computer science, and game theory. This interdisciplinary expertise is incredibly rare and points to either exceptional individual genius or a collaborative effort between multiple experts. Multiple researchers have attempted to identify Satoshi through stylometric analysis, essentially creating a linguistic fingerprint based on writing patterns, vocabulary choices, and grammatical structures. These studies have pointed to several compelling candidates, each with their own fascinating backstory and potential motivation for creating Bitcoin. But as we'll discover, every lead eventually hits a dead end, leaving us with more questions than answers. What makes this mystery even more compelling is the sheer number of brilliant minds who have been suggested as potential candidates. We're talking about cryptographic pioneers who laid the groundwork for digital currencies decades before Bitcoin existed. Cypherpunks who dreamed of creating money that governments couldn't control. Computer scientists who understood the technical challenges better than anyone else alive. Each candidate brings their own compelling evidence and glaring contradictions that make definitive identification seemingly impossible. The stakes of solving this puzzle extend far beyond mere curiosity. Those 1 million untouched bitcoins represent a financial sword of Damocles hanging over the entire cryptocurrency market. If Satoshi ever decided to sell even a fraction of their holdings, it could trigger a market crash that would wipe out trillions of dollars in value. Conversely, if we could definitively prove that Satoshi was dead or that the coins were permanently lost, it might provide unprecedented stability to Bitcoin's price. But there's an even darker side to this mystery that few people talk about. The wrong identification could literally destroy innocent lives. We've already seen what happens when the media circus descends on someone falsely accused of being Satoshi. Dorian Nakamoto, a 64-year-old Japanese-American man living quietly in California, had his peaceful retirement shattered when Newsweek magazine declared him Bitcoin's creator based on nothing more than his name and engineering background. Within hours, Dorian's home was surrounded by reporters and camera crews. His elderly mother was harassed by journalists, demanding answers to questions she couldn't possibly understand. Death threats poured in from people who blamed Bitcoin for everything from drug trafficking to environmental destruction. The man, who had never even heard of cryptocurrency before that day, suddenly found himself at the center of a global manhunt that would follow him for years. This wasn't an isolated incident. Hal Finney, one of Bitcoin's earliest supporters and the recipient of the very first Bitcoin transaction, spent his final years battling ALS, while conspiracy theorists relentlessly pursued him as a potential Satoshi candidate. Even after his death in 2014, his family continued to receive harassment from people convinced they were hiding the truth about his involvement in Bitcoin's creation. The pattern repeats itself over and over. Every few years, some researcher or documentary filmmaker claims to have cracked the code, pointing fingers at brilliant computer, never scientists who asked for this level of scrutiny. These accusations don't just affect the accused individuals. They ripple out to family members, colleagues, and friends who suddenly find themselves thrust into a spotlight that can be both blinding and dangerous. Consider the recent case of Peter Todd, a respected Bitcoin developer who found himself named as Satoshi in a 2024 HBO documentary. Within hours of the film's release, Todd was forced to issue public denials while expressing genuine fear for his safety. The evidence against him was laughably thin, consisting mainly of forum posts and vacation timing that could apply to thousands of people. Yet the mere suggestion was enough to potentially put his life at risk from both treasure hunters and those who view Bitcoin as a threat to traditional power structures. This brings us to perhaps the most important question of all. Should we even be trying to unmask Satoshi Nakamoto? The creator of Bitcoin made a deliberate choice to remain anonymous, and that choice has become integral to Bitcoin's philosophical foundation. By removing any cult of personality or central authority figure, Satoshi ensured that Bitcoin would be judged purely on its merits rather than the reputation or character of its creator. Think about how different Bitcoin would be if we knew Satoshi's identity. Instead of focusing on the revolutionary technology, we'd be endlessly debating their personal politics, their past mistakes, their current opinions on cryptocurrency development. The media would hound them for quotes on every market movement. Governments would pressure them to modify the protocol. The decentralized nature that makes Bitcoin so powerful would be compromised by the very human tendency to look for leaders and authority figures. There's also the practical reality that knowing Satoshi's identity could destabilize the entire cryptocurrency market. Those dormant bitcoins aren't just numbers on a ledger, they represent a potential market force so powerful that their mere existence influences trading decisions. Cryptocurrency exchanges regularly list Satoshi risk in their public filings, acknowledging that any movement from those early wallets could trigger catastrophic sell-offs. But the most compelling evidence for preserving Satoshi's anonymity comes from analyzing their behavior during Bitcoin's crucial early period. Blockchain forensics reveals something extraordinary about how Satoshi approached mining in those first months. While they clearly possess superior mining equipment and could have dominated the network entirely, they consistently chose to step back whenever new miners joined the system. This wasn't accidental. The Patoshi Pattern shows deliberate throttling of mining power, ensuring that Bitcoin remained distributed among multiple participants rather than concentrated in Satoshi's hands. They were essentially sacrificing potential profits to maintain the network's decentralized nature. This altruistic approach suggests someone who understood that Bitcoin's long-term success depended on community ownership rather than founder control. The technical sophistication required to create Bitcoin while maintaining perfect operational security is almost superhuman. Satoshi communicated exclusively through encrypted channels, never revealed personal information, and managed to coordinate with early developers without leaving any meaningful digital footprints. This level of privacy protection suggests either exceptional individual discipline or the resources of a well-organized group with serious security expertise. Some researchers have proposed that Satoshi might have been a collective pseudonym used by multiple cryptographers working together. This theory gains credibility when you consider the breadth of expertise required to create Bitcoin. We're talking about advanced knowledge in cryptography, distributed systems, game theory, economics, and software engineering. While individual genius certainly exists, the combination of skills needed to create Bitcoin from scratch is extraordinarily rare. The group theory also explains some of the inconsistencies in Satoshi's communications and coding style that have puzzled researchers for years. Different messages and code commits show subtle variations that could indicate multiple authors working under a shared identity. If true, this would make identifying Satoshi virtually impossible, as any individual member of the group could plausibly deny involvement while technically telling the truth. Yet despite all these theories and investigations, we're no closer to definitively solving the mystery than we were 15 years ago. Every lead eventually reaches a dead end. Every promising candidate has alibis or contradictory evidence that rules them out. Every breakthrough in blockchain analysis reveals new layers of complexity rather than simple answers. Perhaps that's exactly how Satoshi intended it to be. By creating a mystery so perfectly constructed that it may never be solved, they ensured that Bitcoin would always be larger than any individual. The ongoing search for Satoshi has become part of Bitcoin's mythology, a reminder that truly revolutionary ideas can emerge from anywhere and change everything without requiring traditional credentials or institutional approval. The implications of this anonymity extend far beyond cryptocurrency. Satoshi proved that it's possible to create something world-changing while maintaining complete privacy in our hyper-connected digital age. They demonstrated that influence doesn't require identity, that ideas can succeed purely on their merit rather than the reputation of their creators. This precedent has profound implications for how we think about innovation and authority in the digital age. Traditional systems of credit and recognition assume that creators want acknowledgement, that inventors seek patents, that visionaries crave the spotlight. Satoshi shattered these assumptions by proving that anonymity could be more powerful than fame, that mystery could be more valuable than recognition. But as Bitcoin evolved from an experimental project to a global phenomenon worth trillions of dollars, the pressure to identify its creator has only intensified. Governments want someone to regulate. Media outlets want someone to interview. Investors want someone to blame or praise. When markets swing wildly, the absence of a central figure to target has frustrated everyone accustomed to having a face to associate with revolutionary change. This frustration has led to increasingly desperate attempts to solve the puzzle. Academic researchers have applied sophisticated linguistic analysis to every known piece of Satoshi's writing. Blockchain detectives have scrutinized transaction patterns with forensic precision. Documentary filmmakers have built elaborate cases based on circumstantial evidence and convenient timing. Yet each investigation seems to raise more questions than it answers. The most recent high-profile attempt came in late 2024 when Stephen Moller, a British businessman, staged an elaborate press conference in London, claiming to be Satoshi Nakamoto. The event was announced with great fanfare, promising definitive proof that would finally solve the mystery. Journalists from around the world gathered, expecting to witness a historic moment that would reshape our understanding of Bitcoin's origins. Instead, they witnessed a masterclass in how not to claim credit for world-changing innovations. Moller and his team struggled with basic technical demonstrations. Their laptop wouldn't connect to the internet. The promised evidence devolved into easily faked screenshots that proved nothing. When pressed to demonstrate control over Bitcoin's Genesis wallets, the most basic test of Satoshi's identity, Moller claimed he would do so in the coming months. The spectacle quickly turned uncomfortable as skeptical journalists interrupted Moller's rambling backstory to demand actual proof. Witnesses described his visible nervousness, noting how his cheek twitched rapidly as he faced an increasingly hostile audience. Within an hour, most attendees had left in disgust, convinced they had witnessed either a delusional individual or an elaborate fraud attempting to capitalize on Bitcoin's mystique. This incident perfectly illustrates why the Satoshi mystery has proven so enduring and so dangerous. The combination of enormous wealth, global fame, and technological revolution creates an irresistible target for both genuine investigators and opportunistic fraudsters. The absence of clear evidence allows anyone with enough audacity to make claims that generate media attention, regardless of their validity. The Moller incident also revealed the darker underbelly of Satoshi speculation. Court documents later showed that Moller had allegedly defrauded investors by claiming to control 165,000 bitcoins stored in Singapore. His supposed access to this enormous fortune had convinced at least one victim to invest significant sums before discovering that the claims were entirely fabricated. The case demonstrates how the Satoshi mystery has become a vehicle for financial fraud, targeting people desperate to get close to cryptocurrency's holy grail. Even more troubling was the case of Craig Wright, an Australian computer scientist who spent years aggressively claiming to be Satoshi through both media appearances and legal action. Wright didn't just make casual claims about his identity. He weaponized English libel law to sue anyone who publicly disputed his story, using the legal system to silence critics and create an atmosphere of intimidation around Bitcoin's origin story. Wright's campaign reached its peak when he registered copyright for Bitcoin's white paper and original code with the United States Copyright Office. His supporters claimed this represented official government recognition of his status as Bitcoin's creator. The reality was far more mundane. The Copyright Office had simply processed his application without investigating the validity of his claims, as they do with thousands of routine filings. The facade finally crumbled in March 2024 during a high-stakes legal battle with the Crypto Open Patent Alliance. After extensive proceedings that examined Wright's evidence in forensic detail, Judge James Mellor delivered a devastating verdict. Not only was Wright not Satoshi Nakamoto, but the documents he had submitted as proof were determined to be forgeries. The judge's written judgment, released months later, stated that Wright had lied to the court extensively and repeatedly. The legal consequences were swift and severe. Wright was sentenced to 1 year in prison, suspended for 2 years, for contempt of court related to his frivolous lawsuit against Jack Dorsey's company Block. The case served as a stark warning about the dangers of false Satoshi claims, demonstrating that the legal system would not tolerate fraudulent attempts to claim credit for Bitcoin's creation. These spectacular failures have done more than just embarrass individual claimants. They've highlighted the genuine risks faced by anyone seriously investigated as a potential Satoshi candidate. The combination of enormous wealth, revolutionary technology, and global mystery creates a perfect storm that can destroy lives and endanger families. Every false accusation makes it more dangerous for the real Satoshi, whoever they might be, to ever reveal themselves. This danger extends beyond the immediate targets of speculation. The intense focus on identifying Satoshi has created a cottage industry of researchers, journalists, and conspiracy theorists who profit from keeping the mystery alive. Each new theory generates clicks, views, and book sales. The economic incentives encourage increasingly wild speculation rather than responsible investigation. The obsession with solving the mystery has also overshadowed Bitcoin's more important technological and social implications. Instead of focusing on how cryptocurrency might reshape global finance, reduce inequality, or provide financial services to the unbanked, we endlessly debate forensic analysis of forum posts and email timestamps. The search for Satoshi has become a distraction from the revolutionary potential of the system they created. Perhaps most ironically, the relentless pursuit of Satoshi's identity contradicts everything Bitcoin represents. The cryptocurrency was designed to eliminate the need for trusted authorities and central figures. It succeeds precisely because it doesn't depend on any individual's reputation, character, or continued involvement. By remaining anonymous, Satoshi ensured that Bitcoin would be judged purely on its technical merits rather than its creator's personality or politics. The philosophical implications run even deeper. Satoshi's anonymity represents a fundamental challenge to our celebrity-obsessed culture that assumes every achievement must have a famous face attached. They prove that truly transformative ideas don't require traditional credentials, institutional backing, or media promotion. Sometimes the most powerful innovations emerge from the shadows, created by people who care more about changing the world than taking credit for it. This lesson has inspired countless other anonymous innovators working on projects that could reshape technology, finance, and society. The precedent of successful anonymous creation has empowered developers who might otherwise lack the confidence or platform to share their ideas with the world. Satoshi's example demonstrates that merit can triumph over marketing, that substance can succeed without celebrity, The ongoing mystery has also created an unexpected form of immortality. While most entrepreneurs and inventors fade from public memory within decades of their achievements, Satoshi's legend only grows stronger with time. Their anonymity has transformed them from a person into a symbol, representing the pure potential of human innovation uncorrupted by ego, greed, or the desire for recognition. This transformation from individual to icon serves Bitcoin's long-term interests in ways that Satoshi might not have fully anticipated. The mystery generates continuous media coverage that keeps Bitcoin in the public consciousness. Each new theory or investigation introduces cryptocurrency concepts to audiences who might otherwise never encounter them. The search for Satoshi has become one of the most effective marketing campaigns in history, driving adoption through curiosity rather than traditional promotion. The technical evidence continues to accumulate, painting an ever more detailed picture of Satoshi's capabilities and intentions. Recent blockchain analysis has revealed additional patterns in the early mining data that suggest even more sophisticated planning than previously understood. The timing of mining activity correlates with periods when the network needed additional security, indicating active monitoring and intervention to maintain stability during Bitcoin's most vulnerable early phases. These patterns reveal someone who understood not just the technical aspects of cryptocurrency, but the delicate economic and psychological factors that would determine whether Bitcoin succeeded or failed. They demonstrate patience, wisdom, and a long-term perspective that's rare among technology entrepreneurs, typically focused on rapid growth and quick profits. Satoshi appeared to be playing a much longer game, building something designed to outlast decades or centuries rather than generate immediate returns. The evidence points to someone who possessed an almost supernatural understanding of human nature and market psychology. Consider how perfectly Satoshi timed their withdrawal from active development. They didn't disappear during Bitcoin's initial struggles when their leadership might have been crucial for survival. Instead, they waited until the system had gained enough momentum and developer support to continue evolving without them. This timing suggests someone who understood that their continued presence would eventually become a liability rather than an asset. The blockchain forensics reveal even more fascinating details about Satoshi's mining philosophy. Analysis of the Patoshi pattern shows that they deliberately avoided mining certain blocks even when they had the computational power to claim them. This wasn't random behavior or technical limitations. It was a conscious decision to share Bitcoin's initial distribution with other early adopters, ensuring that the cryptocurrency would have a diverse ownership base from its very beginning. After 16 years of investigations, documentaries, and wild theories, we're no closer to unmasking Satoshi Nakamoto than we were when Bitcoin first emerged from the financial crisis of 2008. Maybe that's the point. Perhaps the greatest gift Satoshi gave us wasn't just revolutionary money, but proof that world-changing ideas don't need famous faces attached to succeed. The mystery continues, and maybe it should stay that way forever.